Not bad, but not amazing. It took me days to read this. I was going for no shortcuts. I was going for the whole shebang, if only to get the money for the cat. Hello, I'm Beth Joey and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, welcome. This is the channel where I paint my face, turn my camera on and talk about some books. Ow, I just scratched my lip. If you've been on my channel for a little bit, you know that I got major FOMO when the most recent sort of round of Magical Readathon happened, and I decided to start the whole thing again from the beginning on my own in a bit of a Magical Readathon catch-up thing, not realizing just how many books that meant that I would have to read because I was going for no shortcuts. I was going for the whole shebang. I have finally made it through the novice path, which took me months to read 7 books. I don't know why it took me so long. Now I am officially in the gear up stage. For the gear up stage, you have to pick a conduit and a legacy. And so for me, my guild that I'm a part of is the Mindwalkers, which means the conduits that I have available to me are the dagger, the feather, the spellbook, the staff, the sword, and the wand. Each of those has a prompt attached to it, and I decided to go for the sword, which meant to read a book with a blade on the cover. And so I picked up The Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake. If you don't already know what the Atlas 6 is about, it follows 6 very magically gifted individuals who are recruited by a man named Atlas Blakely to be a part of the Alexandrian Society, except what they're told at the very beginning is that 5 will make it through to the 2nd year of their schooling and 1 will not. You then follow each of these very morally grey individuals as they build relationships with each other. They explore the various different schools of thought that they are getting taught throughout the year, and they gain access to texts and archives that have been long lost to society and the world, all while there's sort of like a mystery going on of them trying to figure out what exactly happens to that one person that doesn't make it in. As for my rating of this book, I only gave it 2.5 stars, and a big part of the reason why I didn't enjoy it was because the writing felt very dense, very academic, and it meant that I took a really long time to read what is like a 400, I think, page book, if that. 360 something page book. It took me days to read this because I just struggled so much with the language. I will say I loved all of the characters, and I loved how much I would question why I was loving the characters because they were all so morally grey. But because of the issues that I had with the language and the writing, it meant that a lot of the times I wouldn't actually be aware of what was going on in the story. And in one classic example of that, there was this one character named Nico who would have these dream sequence conversations with his friend Gideon, and it took me like a good 5 paragraphs the first time this happened to realize that they actually weren't in the academy, they were in Nico's dreams. That told me that there was just some sort of disconnect between the language and me that meant that I wasn't understanding what was going on. I did finish this book, so I did get my conduit, which was the sword, but I did not really enjoy it. Next up, I had to pick my legacy, and as part of the Mindwalkers Guild, my options were Shadow Realm, Psychic Plane, Astral Plane, Multiverse, or Feywild. And obviously each of these had prompts attached to them as well. I picked the Shadow Realm, so my prompt was to read a book with a dark cover, and for me, that is exactly what this is. It's dark, it's vibey, I love it. So I picked up Velvet Was the Night by Sylvia Moreno Garcia, and I gave this book 3 stars, so not bad, but not amazing. If you don't already know what this is about, it's set in Mexico in the 1970s in a very politically unstable environment. It follows predominantly a girl by the name of Maita, who is obsessed with the idea of love and also is incredibly morally grey. And one day her neighbor asks her to look after her cat. Maita agrees with the promise that she's going to get some money out of it. Then the neighbor goes missing, and so Maita is set on finding out what happened to the neighbor, where she's disappeared to, if only to get the money for the cat. There is a second point of view from Elvis, who is part of a gang called the Hawks, who are sort of government enforcers. He is also set on finding out what happened to Leonora, but this is because Leonora is a bit of a rebel. She's like a fighter against the government in play, and he needs to find her because it is part of his job in the gang to find out what happened to her. It's a mystery he needs to solve. Maita and Elvis sort of run their investigations side by side. They both get involved in each other's investigations. And don't get me wrong, that side of the book was really interesting. I loved the character development. I loved learning about these characters and being inside their heads when they're both so morally grey as well. But I think the real struggle that I had with this book was that it felt like you needed to do a lot of research about the time period and the environment and the atmosphere and the world that they were existing in, because it's based on a true setting, not true characters, just the setting is based on truth. So I feel like I would need to do research into that setting in order to get fully into like the atmosphere of this story and understand the tension and the various groups at play, the various like political groups and then gangs and other sorts of things. It's like Sylvia Moreno Garcia assumed knowledge of this situation, and that definitely was not something I went into this book having, so I just wasn't able to feel the kind of atmosphere and tension that I was supposed to feel. I also found that it was very, very slow moving, the plot at times, so I struggled really to get through the book quickly. Again, this is a book that's only like 300 and something pages long, and I took, oh, not even that, like 200 and something pages long, and I took days to read it. But at the end of the day, I didn't enjoy the book because I didn't have that base level of knowledge that I needed. So that did still get me my legacy, which was the Shadow Realm, and that sends me off ready to start up with the spring equinox soon, whenever I get around to actually figuring out what the prompts are that I need to fill out for that. I guess look out for that video in the coming months. It could be any time, but I do want to get those sorted before the next round, which I think happens in April. So I've got about, you know, 4 or 5 months, I think, to put that together. But anyway, come and chat to me in the comments down below if you've read either of these books, if you've liked them, if you think there's something I missed, or if you agree with me on them. And let me know if you have participated in Magical Readathon and what your guild is and what your character is and what, you know, how you did in the spring and the autumn equinox. Come and chat to me in the comments down below. I love talking to you guys, and I do my best to reply to every single comment. I really, really hope that you enjoyed this little video, and if you did, please do let me know by liking, subscribing, and hitting that notification bell all down below. It is a super, super easy way to help my channel grow, and I will see you lovely people in my next video. Bye!